Okay. All right. I would like to call this regular board meeting of the school board to order today, May 21st.
Roll
can
call.
I get a roll call?
Ms. Atkins.
Here.
Ms. Hinton.
Here.
Mr. Hempel. Here. Mrs. Hammond.
Here.
Mrs. Hempel.
Here.
Mrs. Noltz.
Here.
And Ms. Schlott.
Here.
All right. Next is our invocation. We have Pastor Barry David here to lead us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Let's pause to remember the victims of the Santa Fe, Texas school shooting, please. Father, we come before you with heavy hearts as we remember another school shooting. We pray you will comfort the families of the victims, that you will sustain them, and that you will strengthen them. We pray for our schools. Continue to protect them and keep them safe. Keep them as the apple of the eye. Hide them under the shadow of your wings. We're grateful for your blessings, for our superintendent and her administrative staff, for our Board of Education, who worked tirelessly to guide this district, and for our heroes of the classroom, our teachers. We also thank you for the high-achieving robotics team that's with us tonight. For tonight, we ask for unity among our leaders, give wisdom in all discussions, and may every decision be according to your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it is one, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion on approval of the agenda, please?
I move the board approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Ms. Noltz.
Yes.
Ms. Schlott.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Mrs. Hammond.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel. Yes. Ms. Hinton.
Yes.
Ms. Atkins.
Yes. So tonight we are. Oh, did you forget? Oh, shoot. Did you say? Okay. Tonight we thank you for coming tonight. We are without our lovely Mrs. Scott to keep us organized as secretary. So we have Mr. Hempel doing our roll call. So if you see us adjusting to that, that's
Having more fun than you can see.
and Dr. Krupi assisting with some of that as well. So thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to start with a special order of business, which is our robotics team presentation. So are you going to do that? Go ahead.
There's 2 teams.
2 teams. So who would like to go first?
You have it up here.
She's ready. All right.
Hi, we're the Hazel Park High School First Robotics Team, Team 7224, Robo-Drakens.
The first robotics competition stands for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. We have over 500,000 students participating in the 2018 competition. And over 17 million volunteer hours served to the 2018 competition. First, the impact of the first robotics competition includes 92% increased interest in going to college, 88% interest in doing well in school.
There are 5 major parts of a team structure: the game strategy, robot build, robot programming, scouting, outreach, and community involvement.
The most important things to do as soon as you get the game is to learn the game, develop a strategy for that game, build the robot to be specifically for that game, practice a whole bunch, scout a lot to use other people's robots to get information, then change your robot to make it more applicable for the game.
Our team has competed at 2 events so far. We competed at Centerline in Marysville. In Centerline, we came 26th out of 40. At Marysville, we came 24th out of 40, which is pretty good for a rookie team.
The basic functions or the basic parts of a robot is the structure to hold everything together, the wiring and sensors to make everything run, the software and controls tell it what to do, and the power to apply power to everything.
The structure and design, the robot must be in a contained frame perimeter and a restricted overall height. The robot weight cannot exceed 120 pounds, and the design process includes extensive CAD use. Any questions?
No, that's great information. Thank you for talking about it to help us understand it.
All right, we're going to give a demonstration of our robot now.
No, they don't need to talk for the demonstration. This is Nate Blackwell and Michael Russell. They are were our main drivers. I'm Colleen Gubo. I'm a GSRP teacher here as well as a coach. And this is my husband, Marty Gubo, who is our engineering coach.
All right, so I have a question for you now. Did your team put this together?
Yes.
Everything?
Yes.
And you have the remote control and you programmed it to do? Very good.
Yeah, we have 6 weeks to build the robot.
6 weeks.
So we get the game, every year there's a new game, and we get the game the first Saturday of the year. And then there's 6 weeks, it's called the build season, where there's a lot of sleepless nights, and we're at the school almost every day. And then after 6 weeks, we got to put it in a bag, and we can't take it out until the first competition. That way, everybody has the equal amount of time of building the robot. There's over 500 teams in the state of Michigan. Michigan has the most teams. They have more teams than any other state and any other country, but there's 3,500 teams that compete in this from all over the world.
Oh, you guys did a fantastic job.
Nice
Thank
job.
you.
Good job,
Showing
Lynn.
it to us.
the World Championships are held in Detroit, and there was 40,000 people down at Cobo for the World Championships. It's big. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, evening. My name is Pam Sparks, and our robotics engineering team, it's had lots of names over the years, started as a little teeny tiny club over 10 years ago, and we were kind of at the cusp of STEM education, and so we are so thrilled to have First Robotics on board because they are an excellent addition to our school. It is an intense program, which is a little different than what we do. We do projects that are spread throughout the whole entire year, so it just gives the kids different opportunities. So they are the stars of the show. I'd like to introduce Connor Johnson, who is a leader in the engineering, and they're going to tell you about their projects.
Hi. Thank you for having us here. First of all, it's been an honor to allow you guys allowing us to introduce what we've been doing over the years. So we have a lot of different projects that we've done this year, more than what I've seen from before. We've actually got a new project this year called the Vex IQ, which is also part of RoboFest, which you'll hear later on. And so how we've set it up for today, we will start with what we've done with the projects that are for land, and then we have projects that are for the sea. So what we have for today is the first one. So what we have over there is a V2X, meaning vehicle to anything. I've named him Charles. And so what he's made to do is to drive autonomously, detect stuff, avoid stuff, basically be like a self-driving car. We have our bigger version, the Jeep, which is, both of them are still a work in progress, but they're still pretty cool in ways. And so with both of them, they're both made to drive autonomously. Our teams have been working pretty hard on both of those, along with the other projects. And so, like the V2X, which, somebody turn that on, please. Thank you. Don't let it fall off the table, yeah. So, both switches. So what it's able to do now is it's able to drive on its own. It's unable to detect anything right now, but it is clearly being worked on. It runs on Arduino just like the Jeep. And moving on to the Jeep, which is kind of also a fun project.
So how's everybody doing tonight? Good. Okay, so this is Kilroy, our autonomous Jeep. So what this kind of like Connor said, it's powered with an Arduino circuit board. It also goes, the pedal is ran by a hydraulic actuator, which I can do a demonstration. Don't allow it to work out. So
Right now it runs mechanically. And during the competition of Mobility Day, Xander was messing around and driving around with the Jeep, which...
Yeah, it was a little bit of one time trying to get it back together. Let's put it that way. So, oh, hang on guys, sorry.
As our mechanic works.
So the Jeep started as one of those out-of-the-box Barbie Jeeps that you buy from Toys R Us. And the goal was to take it from being manual to autonomous. Right, so we got it that way electronically and mechanically, and there we go.
Now, what you can't exactly see is that it had a horrible bright pink paint job.
Yes.
And the paint was like in spots, and it was like running all over, and they fixed it, and it looks nice now.
No better way to paint it than a nice World War II green, alright?
Still looks better.
Yeah, exactly. It's still the hardest to go. We don't have it autonomous yet. That's our goal for either the end of the year or next year early on. And it'll be ready for competition by, I'd say, 2019.
Probably.
Somewhere around the time. So,
Next up is our RC car, which has made a miraculous, what was it, 52, 58 miles per hour?
53.
53 miles an hour. I was close.
You were the first time.
The first time.
Yeah, probably not
I
on
need to, oh God.
So, on the outside, it was named Jaws, because it started out as a joke, where somebody chased after me with it, and 53 mile an hour car chasing after me is not fun. But then with the paint job, it kind of looks like a galaxy, so if we use the same body next year, it's going to be called Star. So the inside still dirty from the competition. We have, first off, we replaced some of the plastic chassis with metal because the frame had a breaking a lot. So we decided that metal would be a better choice because of purposes of we didn't want to break in the middle of the competition. We have another one of our things is a fan because going at such high speeds made our motor overheat super quickly, so we put a fan on it. But we still had overheating problems at the competition.
Then it got really hot, and the sun was directly over it, so
yeah, the sun was directly over it, and the paint
overheated.
had insulated all the heat inside of it, so it's still overheated. But we still hit 53 miles an hour, which was I think like the third highest.
It was.
And for our, I can't tell you much about the mechanics because the mechanic guy isn't here, but I can tell you everything in here is waterproof. Actually, to cool it down, we poured almost an entire bottle of water on it one time. Still ran perfectly. We ended up having trouble figuring out who was the best driver, so we just went with whoever wanted to. But
Not a great decision.
yes, I can tell you that. We also have a lucky piece in here, which is most of it's blue. We have a purple one right here. That was our lucky caliper. The drive shaft in the middle, it's a little bit roughed up. If we were to take this out, you go to two-wheel drive, but while it's inside, it's four-wheel. There was actually a competition that we didn't do, which required us to take the drive shaft out, but because we didn't want to make it go faster, because it was already hitting 53 and we were having trouble controlling it already. So, but that's all I have to say because I don't know any more about it.
All right.
I don't either. So.
All right, so next up we have is one of the stars of this year, the VEX IQ. We have our master, Riley Doctor.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor as well.
Which one is this, Boris?
This is Boris, the
Do we need?
autonomous tennis ball collector. Normally, on a table like this, there would be many tennis balls scattered around, and the goal is for it to go around and collect as many as possible and send them to a collection area. Well,
I like the duct tape.
Yeah, it's amazing. But anyways, I got a little sample program right here right now to show you. It will center around, it will go around the table twice, and we'll stop right there. Outside, hold up.
Because of their excellent performance at regional at Cranbrook, they were invited to World RoboFest, which was held this last Friday, and out of 20 teams in the whole world. So China was there, Mexico was there, North Korea was there, Canada was there. They placed sixth. I'm sorry.
I believe this is yours.
Yeah,
That's for the sumo.
this trophy was not for this robot specifically. It was for the other robot over there, which I currently cannot demonstrate because I do not have the person here who did that.
But they took first
They
place.
took first place in the world.
The last competition was them versus China, and they ended up knocking China's robot off the table, which was the goal of the competition. So they have bragging rights for World RoboFest Senior Division Sumo Champion.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, so some of us actually took video of it, and if we ever show the video, you will definitely hear us going, USA, USA, USA. We're all pumped.
The video is it's quite a bit of a thriller, actually. Just interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Because the other one's actually bigger than ours, and it was faster, but it was lighter. because there was less on like the inside area. So ours was smaller and heavier, so we managed to just barely knock it off.
Our motors were also stronger, so consisting of the enemy team's speed. Their robot was meant to knock the bottle off, as was ours, but we ended up knocking the bottle off at the same time. So it was basically a feed for all, whoever knocked the other one off first. And ours
we
ended up
won
winning because our motors were stronger.
Because we're America and we're the best.
For reference, this is the one that won the World Championships.
Next up is the C. So we'll start with our Sea Perch team for this year. We have Cass and Gabe.
So this right here is our sea perch. He started off, his name is Cowfish. He started off from little PVC and little plastic motors to being a fully functional RV, underwater ROV, and so close to national. There were two things that we had to do in the competition. One was an obstacle course where we had to go through hula hoops that were underwater, and another one we had to pick up objects that were underwater and move them to another table. In our obstacle course, with a time of 2 minutes and 53 seconds, we got third place. And in our, what was the other one? No, not the obstacle course. What was it called? Oh, it was called the challenge course. And we had to pick up 9 objects, and we completed it in 8 minutes with 7 minutes left over. And we got extra points for that. We picked up all of the objects, moved them to the other table, and basically got a perfect score. We're going to do a little demo of it, even though there's no water.
While they're setting up, I'd like to embarrass Mr. Brad Williams with these. Brad has been working with our Sea Perch team for 3 years now, and he is tireless. He comes in, he helps the kids, he helps them with all the intricate soldering. You'd be amazed how many kids can now solder at our school. So we couldn't do it without you, Brad. Thank you for being part of the team.
So we had 3 motors on here, one that controlled up and down, and 2 that went forward and backward. And with the combination of all 3 of them, we managed to make it through the obstacle course with no problem. Except for the fourth part, but
That was the driver's fault.
yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yes, the children are coming up. So the last things we have are ROVs from our Square One competition for underwater ROV. And while one was participating in the contest, the other one actually has more of a backstory to the one that did participate in the contest. So what we have here is the Bismarck, named after the German battleship Bismarck.
And if you want the history, Connor can give it to you.
Yeah, I'm that dude. Not right now, okay? We have a limited time.
Okay,
So what this was is that it is used for more of a multi-role. All right. And so what we had here is one of the challenges was for balloons. It was get balloons that were floating in the water, competing against other people. What one of our engineers designed at the last minute was this channel locking system, which worked very successful against the other people because we were able to catch the balloons, but the one downfall we had was the speed. For being big and bulky, it was pretty slow, but it still functioned normally.
We originally had the idea to do a servo-powered claw at the bow of the Bismarck, but through connection errors and just not getting signal underwater, we had to abandon the idea and go with this monstrosity.
The channel select decision. So the one back here is more of the story behind the design of this. This is the Yamato, named after the Japanese battleship Yamato.
Can you give us a history of that one too?
Not right now. Okay, I can do it later. So what the design of this is that I last year got the chance to go to a scholarship program from the University of Southern California where they took us to Catalina Island for a week and do marine biology along with building an ROV. I was able to bring this ROV home, and this became the basis structure for the Bismarck. What a little pretty thing it is, but it falls apart very easily.
It's falling apart in my hands.
It's falling apart right now. So I think that is it for what we have. So any questions?
I'd just like to go down the line, and if you guys would state your first and last names very proudly. I don't know if we introduced everybody.
So I am Connor Johnson, as you all know.
Connor. Wait, do I have to say my
Your
actual
name.
name? Or?
Whatever you want to be called.
Hi, I'm Jackie Huff.
I am Tyler Vangina.
And I am Xander Bird.
And I am Riley Doctor.
And in the back we have Cassie and Dave Fortress.
So I'd like to take a minute and talk about the trophies. Yes. So you've seen the RoboFest World Champion Trophy. We actually got 3 others from RoboFest.
Yes, those were from qualifiers to get to it.
And then we have the Sea Perch trophies along with some plaques. And the largest one is the ambassadorship for the V2X.
We also received an honorary plaque for our school, being the first of 3 other schools in the state of Michigan to test out the V2X technology. That'll be displayed proudly.
I'd also like to state one thing, because this afternoon when I was with Riley's like, how does it feel that VexIQ has gotten 4 trophies? I'm like, how does it feel that the V2X has the largest trophy for ambassadorship? He's still not happy about that.
How does it feel that Charles is my son and not yours?
I hate it that you're taking my own child away.
All right.
So we thank you for your time, and thank you.
Hey, Dr. Kirk, would you like to get up here with your trophy? So we can take
Let's go grab our
Is that okay?
Yeah, thanks.
And maybe we could do that while we are.
We can go. You can go over there too. If it's easier. All the trophies are set up already.
I want to be with them.
Yeah, we can all hold it.
Guys, and then put the trophies and go around the table.
Okay, well, this didn't win any trophies, so I don't have them.
All right, I just thought we could.
Yeah. Okay. Just gonna let
Do a quick photo. I didn't know there was so many. I knew there was
You guys
so
want
many teams,
to
but I didn't
sit
know
that right up
that even
underneath
on
the
the teams
table?
they have all these different.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get my kid to join.
Turn sideways. So this is part, you can leave that out.
Like leave it sideways so it says it's part of that back.
I just need to go up here too.
I got what you
You can't just leave it out.
So you guys kind of stand behind the table.
Stand behind the table.
Oh, at the first as well. Yeah.
And board, if you want to stand up, we'll get you in. You're a lovely bunch.
It's a team, right?
Yeah.
Aaron told me about that.
I think it just says.
You know, I had to do it. You know I had to do that. You know, you guys know what I'm doing.
You got a wide enough.
All right, now either I'm running out to my car and getting my wide angle lens, or we're scooting in.
We're scooping in.
Can I see you?
My face. Just scooped in my face.
All right, you guys should all be quite proud. How do proud people look?
Yeah.
Let's do another one real quick. Because I know someone closed their eyes and I'm sure who. All right, good job, guys.
We gotta do this like we did with the RC program.
Did you guys want to take a picture as well? We can get a picture around your sheet as well. So why don't we do that and
In front or here? I'll take this. Have Darren do it.
yeah. Okay. You have it ready? I got it. Doesn't matter. Not around.
Ready? Say Robo. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, Debbie. I love it. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Can we get down?
I don't know. Just give us 2 seconds.
So don't forget the one. Tell me what you.
Should I look for public comments? I don't know if there's anybody there. Oh, maybe Shirley's over there right now. I just have Pam here and I didn't know if she had something. Dark cameos. Nothing there? I have the one, yep. Thank you for checking. I was like, oh, we're on the consent agenda, but we'll need it quiet for public.
I am freezing.
Oh, Brooke's retiring. No kidding.
No, I got a jacket here. I just don't want to look like that person.
I swear this was
I'll just sit here and be sitting here and be shivery.
I swear. I need my coat in my eye right now. I look like for the love of I don't know if I checked this morning. I was expecting it.
FML, or, medical.
Yeah.
Leaves us.
So mean to him.
Trying to get it in splashing.
Brain works.
Run it off that?
Yeah.
Oh, he can still fiddle around with it while we're doing it, probably, right?
Well, no, because he's got to go out and run the meeting.
Oh, well, that too. Okay, never mind. Just if this will work.
Do you want me to go stand up there and hold a button then?
I can do it.
Yeah, I got a piece of gum. You need some. You have another cat.
You're talking multitask. I learned it from my kids. And mother-in-law. And wife.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on with our meeting. We have some technical difficulties with this screen, but this one appears to be working over here. Next item on the agenda is public comments. If for those that may be wanting to talk, there's forms in the back. If you could fill one of those out so that we know you want to speak, that would be helpful. I have one here, and that's from Pam Sparks.
All right, good evening again. Being in this room is a lot like being in a relative's house. I feel very at home with many of you. I've known you for a very long time. And like always, sometimes families agree and sometimes families disagree. As many of you may or may not know, I've decided to take an early retirement this year. And I have some things I need to say that I wish this cup could pass from me, but I think I'm in a position where there's some things that really need to be said. And so if you really knew me, Challenge Day fans, you would know that my heart is always doing what is best for our kids And my intention tonight is just to raise awareness so that we can move forward and do better for our children. So I wrote a statement because I get a little emotional. So the reason I am opting to retire early is that I, like many of our teachers, have had enough. The teacher morale is at an all-time low, and it is time for someone to speak up, someone who has no fear of recourse. The teacher retention problem is no longer isolated to the younger teachers in our district. Seasoned teachers are now leaving in disproportionately high numbers for the same reason that I am. The lack of support from this administrative model and the disparaging tone taken with the staff is unbearable. For example, at our introductory science meeting this year, the administration team started the meeting by stating that not one of you in this room is a highly effective teacher, and you need to do better. 5 days before the school year started, we were mandated to teach an incomplete framework that was called a curriculum, with no daily lesson plans. When I questioned where the curriculum was, I was told by my administrator, I guess we need to disagree on what we call curriculum. During the previous year, I volunteered to write the biology curriculum and led my 20-plus award-winning instructional experience, but I was told that not everybody is cut out to write curriculum, and I was dismissed from the project as younger teachers were asked to step in and write the curriculum. This year, teacher observations became more and more frequent. Teams of people came in to observe, looking for high-quality instruction. During one of my visits, I was reprimanded because I was not welcoming enough. My crime was that I asked them to please take a seat because my students were distracted by the observers, and I was trying to run my classroom. And this is not a 1 or 2 time experience. This has been the pervasive attitude of this administration model toward our teachers. We get constantly under the microscope, and we feel like we're the bad guys. Committed teachers are on the edge. We feel like we're going to be written up if we do or say something inappropriately. We feel voiceless. We feel unempowered. One veteran teacher recently stated, after multiple years here, I'm willing to take a huge pay cut to work in a district where I am valued. The second major reason I am leaving is the current evaluation system. For the last 2 years, my teacher evaluation has been unacceptable. I have refused to sign my administrative evaluations. Last year, I sought help from what I thought the proper chain of command was, yet here we are in the same place again this year. No one in our administrative hierarchy seems to care that my evaluation is again inaccurate, demeaning, and laughable. My contributions have been reduced to almost minimally effective. So if I stayed another year, if it's following suit, since when Mr. Vogt was here, I would definitely be a minimally effective teacher, despite my impressive resume. My national award-winning 4.0 lesson was rated on a 3.0 by our administration, and the only reason I was given was that I prepared my materials in advance instead of letting students put together their own clay and pushpin cups. The blatant discrimination is unexcusable, and it is not limited to just myself. One category that I was marked minimally affected was how well I know my students. With all my work on robotics and challenge day and weekly empowerment zone meetings, I find this ridiculous, and I told my evaluator that I was insulted. Many of our robotics students, our challenge day empowerment zone students, are not necessarily academic kids, but they engage in these extracurricular activities that have become a hardship for us to continue. It's a constant fight to try to do anything above and beyond. So I feel like I know my students very well. My husband was class of 1960, or no, you are, no, not that far. My 83, my family has been in the district since 1965. Many of my former students are my close friends. So to be rated minimally effective as knowing my students, something has to be looked at. Something is wrong. Thirdly, We are experiencing a severe lack of discipline in our schools. So I surveyed my colleagues. I said, I'm thinking about saying something at the board meeting. After I got my almost minimally effective teacher evaluation, I didn't know what else to do because no one seemed to listen. So I said, if you had one or two things that you would like to say to the Board of Education, what would you like to say? And these are some of the things. Administration just sends kids back to the class at the same hour as they have a violation. The discipline data is better because teachers are fed up with the lack of consequences and we are not writing people up anymore. Kids can behave however they want. It is upsetting because school policies are not followed and there is no accountability. We are not making our students responsible. Students need discipline. Kids swear at teachers with no consequences. There are hordes of kids walking around the halls between all hours, especially first hour. We need student consequences. What dress code? There are no consequences for flipping me off. We need a tardy policy and an attendance policy. We need consequences. I have observed that these comments are a stark contrast from a few short years ago when the inside teacher discussions were about teacher-driven programs and what we can do best to help our students. This tragedy is unfolding before my eyes. It's been a whirlwind, and I wonder, how did we get here so quickly? How did this happen? I have tried voicing through the proper channels for change. I have been ignored and dismissed. I feel like my skill set is documented as not valued, and I feel like our students, in the end, are the ones that are going to be missing out because teachers all over the district feel like our hands are tied and that we are not valued. I am not here for you to give me a good evaluation. I am just here to ask you, the Board of Education, to have some really honest discussions with people who are in the trenches with the kids every single day. Because data, you can skew data any way you want to skew data if you're a numbers person. So enough is enough. We have amazing teachers, we have amazing students, and so please empower our teachers for the maximum benefit of our students. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Thank you, Mrs. Sparks. We hear you. The board will take what you shared with us tonight. I know that you put a lot of thought into it. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
I want to comment. I've known Mrs. Sparks for 13 years at the high school. She's awesome. She was an extraordinary, excellent teacher, knows her kids 150%. And what she expressed, I've heard over and over and over, and I thank you for coming and saying it to everybody. Thank you.
All right, if there is no one else for public comment, oh, we have one more. Okay. Oh, we know who you are. Thank you. All right, Mr. Morton.
Steve Morton, Hazel Park High School. First off, congratulations to your teams of robot makers, builders, and champions. Not only are you robotics champions, it appears you will also be history and geography champions too. Keep up the good work. I was fortunate to come into the district with Ms. Sparks. I remember one of our first conversations was about how she was going to run a summer science camp at Camp Hazelwood for elementary students. It was going to be run by high school students trained by her over the summer. Her enthusiasm was so strong that I wanted to be a part of it. as a history teacher, not knowing much about science, I'm like, what can I do? And she goes, well, we need a cook. And I said, well, you found a chef. So for 3 years, 3 wonderful summers, I spent time at Camp Hazelwoods, where you and your husband, Rich, were also caretakers of that camp. It's a diamond in the rough of, for our kids to get to. It was a beautiful experience. So I followed her. I tagged along in many of her activities as she led great programs: Challenge Day, Empowerment Zone, African American Movie Day, and all these other activities, even watching your sea perch in the pool and build in the old labs that we had, the tech labs. So you've done amazing and wonderful things. And when we see in our emails with children in mind, it sometimes seems that this day and age it's more that we have data in mind. You, Ms. Sparks, you truly have children in mind, and I second all that you've said. So thank you. You'll be missed.
All right, I have Tina Money.
Hi, I'm Tiana Monty, and I have a daughter in 8th grade and 10th grade in high school. Quick question, I was doing the prom dresses this year. We didn't really have the greatest outcome we wanted. I still do have about 220 dresses. I did, and shoes and a bunch of other things. So what I'd like to do, if we could, I'd like to try a little bit different. Next year, I know this is kind of our last meeting before then, but I did pack them up. I have totes. I'd like to kind of see if we could store them here until next year, and then bring them out so we could have another sale like we were wanting this year. And maybe if we could try, I thought maybe the girls were a little shy for coming to the high school where I was at. Maybe we could use the rec center instead. Maybe if I could just have a room there or something, or maybe a Saturday we could maybe work out. So I could have all the dresses put out, and they could bring a sale in for the girls. We'd like to do homecoming, and we'd like to do prom again. Maybe that will give a little bit more of a comfort zone for the girls, so it's not at the high school. I think that was one of the problems, that we didn't get a really big outcome this year. Plus, it was the first year, and we were kind of late in the game. But I do have about 200, and I think I can get about another 100 dresses over the summer. So I'd like to donate all those dresses back to the district, and maybe, store them here, or I can store them at my house. It doesn't really matter. But the biggest thing is making sure we get ready for next year, that maybe I have a plan that I can use the rec center, if that would be possible, and then we can set up some dates in the future that we can have that ready to go, so that we give the girls an ample amount of time to be ready to get the dresses. Because I know I have a lot of dresses for homecoming, a lot of short dresses. I probably have about 75 to 100 dresses that would be nice for homecoming. So I just kind of want to keep that an idea in mind, that we could maybe use that center, or maybe if you guys have it somewhere else that we could use that's a little bit more private for the girls.
Yeah, we'll have to look into what can be done. I thank you for all of your efforts to offer that to our students. I think it's a great opportunity, and you're right. I think the earlier they know, and having some privacy is always important. So I'll defer to who should she see, Dr. Krupe, in terms of planning?
I was working with Lisa.
Yeah,
prior.
we can, between Lisa, myself, and Mr. Daly, we will figure out where we can store them safely.
Yes.
So that they don't get dirty. And what
They're
have
all
you.
in totes. I have them all folded up in totes. I did that the other day at the high school, so everything's taken down from the high school, but I just want to make sure I can put them in a, like I said, I can store them. It's not the problem, but I just want to be ready for next year a little bit ahead of time, get the flyers out maybe, but I did want to have a kind of a pre-approval that you're thinking this idea is okay.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea for you guys to maybe have a meeting and think about next year.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Fortress.
Hi, I'm Heidi Fortress. I wasn't going to talk tonight, but Ms. Sparks kind of inspired me. It's kind of sad as a parent sitting here listening to a teacher say that. And to say I'm emotional is beyond belief, because what this woman has done for my son this year is incredible. He came in here as a 9th grader, was put in advanced biology, I called Miss Sparks. I said, Miss Sparks, he really wants to stay, but I don't think he's there. He was in the class with all juniors and seniors. She said, Heidi, if he's anything like his sister, he'll be fine. He'll go above and beyond, I guarantee you. So I said, okay, Miss Sparks, I'll let him stay. We'll see what happens the first semester. First semester came, he had an A+ in her class. I said, all right, let's see how the next one goes. Again, another A. He has busted his butt to prove to her that he belonged in that class. She encouraged him to take the AP class, went above and beyond to get him extra funds to cover it. She also encouraged him to apply for a couple camps. One, the same one Connor went to in California. He didn't make it, which he was okay with. He was also applied for one at U of M, which is a 3-year program. The only time you can apply for it is your freshman year. The 3 years includes going to Ann Arbor, sitting in their lab for 4 days, and then going to the sand dunes. The second year they go up to the UP. The third year they take them to Yellowstone National Park. They want to encourage kids to get involved in earth science. Over 3,000 kids applied for this camp. 15 were accepted. With the help of Mrs. Sparks, who got an insufficient on her student participation, he was one of those 15 kids that got this grant for 3 years. And it makes me sick as a parent that sits here and my taxpayers saying that we don't value that. How can we not value that? And you guys all have kids that went here. I went here. I wanted my kids to go here because of the family atmosphere, but we can't treat our teachers with respect that they deserve. And it's not like this is the first time this is brought up. They had the teacher survey back in December. Whatever happened with that? What did you guys do with that? How did it just go to the water and no recourse was done? It's the same stuff, and now we have great teachers leaving. When's enough? To say that this teacher is not involved with their students is ridiculous. And then you have teachers that don't even give a care about their students, who sit there and don't even teach anymore. I don't know. You guys need to get it together. That's all I gotta say.
Kathy Keeler?
Yeah. Yes. Hi, everybody. I dressed for the occasion. Sorry, I didn't plan on speaking, but I'm telling you, I'm retired from this school district. I grew up in this school district, and I love this school district. And when I go out with my friend Pam and Mary and Dawn and Nancy and everybody, well, exclude Nancy and exclude Dawn with the retired ones, there's something going on here, and you need to address it. You need to address it. When Pam Sparks leaves, for a reason, for many reasons that she gave, and you guys are sitting here and do something about it. How could you in good conscience have somebody like her leave and not get anywhere? It's wrong. We were always here for the kids. I started with Jim Meisinger. Whether you like him or not, let me tell you something. He listened to his teachers. Vic Mayo listened to us. Pam and I started the leadership class. They paid for us to go. Do you know how many kids that I'm on Facebook with that says to us, thank you, Mrs. Keeler. When you see Mrs. Sparks, thank her too. I got a job. I'm doing this. I'm successful. I learned some of these skills in your leadership class. And she kept it going. She kept it going. She has empowerment zone. She has challenge day. And it's always a fight. What's up? I mean, do you want this district to be closed? That would be a crying shame. So if I were you, I would start not being so politically correct and say, okay, if somebody has to go, Well, there's the door. If you don't have kids' interests at heart, and we all know that the disciplined classroom, they come back and thank you. They come back and thank you and say, thank you very much. This is a learning atmosphere. So you guys better do something about it, because the name out there for Hazel Park, trust me, I have a little tiny antique store right now, and I hear people that are moving in here. A girl came in 2 weeks ago and she said she loves her house, she loves the district, she loves everything about it, but her friends don't want to move here because they don't want to go to Hazel Park schools. And I said, God, I retired. I loved Hazel Park. The kids love me. I love them. But let me tell you something. If that's the reputation, think about it, people. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to look somebody in the eye and say, you're not good for our district. This is not working. And somebody better do something, because we're in trouble here. And I still say we. Yeah, I would think about it and I would do something about it. This is a crying shame, because in my heart, I don't think she really wants to go. But why would anybody get an ineffective rating? Really? And I never met that mom before. And for her to say that, and that's not the only parent that probably thinks that. But I would look within myself, and I would not, oh, is this the right thing to do? Do the right thing. And it's hard to do the right thing, but it can be done. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Tyler Fantino.
Hello. So, I'm still on the topic about Miss Sparks. Now, seeing her leave is actually hurting me a lot, because unlike most of my teachers, she knows me the most. Her challenge day helped me. Her in general helped me. Helping me with my work when it needed to be helped with. Helping me do something I want to do, the robotics, all of that. And after hearing her speech and her leaving, I'm not sure if even Hazel Park High School is going to be the same, because, hold on. Sorry, getting emotional here. Because I'm not going to get into specifics, but I was having a problem that not many people knew about. And then her challenge day helped me get over the trouble of not being able to cope with it. And, hold on,
And you did it. Look at you. You did it. You're standing up in front of adults. Good for you.
And I'm just going to get to the point. Seeing my favorite teacher leave the school, it hurts a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Huff.
So, not too much of a public speaker, but I feel like this needs to be talked about. But I'm going to be completely honest. When I first got here, I've been here for a little over a month. Didn't exactly like Miss Sparks, but she really did grow on me really quickly. And Pam Sparks is one of the most passionate people that I have ever met in my life. And hearing her reasonings for leaving it does hurt. Like, she deserves to be treated well, and I'm very sad that this is why she feels the need to leave. And I think that before I met Miss Sparks, I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself after high school. And really, I didn't have a plan for even getting through high school, but now that I know her, and now that I've met her and I've worked in her robotics program for a little bit, like, now I know that that's something that I am extremely interested in. And if she had not given me the opportunity to go to RoboFest with her team, I would not know that that was something that I was interested in, something that I could do for the rest of my life. And I think that even in this short of a time, I feel close to Miss Sparks, and I do care for her very much, and this does, like, I'm emotional, and I'm, like, shaking. Sorry. But I love Miss Sparks to death, and this pains me to see that this is the reason that she's leaving, because she was treated this way, and because there's so much stuff that's happening that has caused her to want to leave, when I feel that if these issues were resolved, she would be very happy working at the school still. But there's so many issues that she can't stay, and it does hurt. And I just wish that something would be fixed so she maybe could stay, because I don't know what it's going to be like without her. Like, I don't know how I'm going to work through some of the stuff that I've had to deal with, that just seeing somebody like Miss Sparks is passionate about. Every day I go into class, and even if I'm having like a rough morning, like, I see Miss Sparks, and she's always so happy to, like, teach us, and we're talking about different phylums of, like, worms and stuff. And she's even passionate about the worms, and it's wonderful. She gets excited about worms, and it's amazing that somebody can be so passionate about something.
All right,
so
thank you. We absolutely are going to miss Mrs. Sparks. We appreciate her dedication to the district. I didn't say that when she first spoke because it got really loud in here. Rich Sparks.
Hi, former resident of the city, graduate in 1983, and I do have quite a large real estate group in the area, and what she was saying is absolutely right. The feedback we get on your city and why people don't want to move in is because of your school district, straight up. When I went through this school district in the early 80s, we had a bit of a downturn in the economy. It was a mini depression going on in this area. My father lost his job. We went from middle class to poor. The outlook and hope I had was non-existent. I went into Hazel Park High School with a 3.8 grade point, and it dropped down to a 1.01. This went on for the next 3 years. Mr. Patterson knows me quite well. He's a nice guy, but I just didn't really care because I had no hope. There was one teacher in the whole district, and you might remember his name, the government teacher, Old Southern Baptist, Mr. Snell, who grabbed me and threw me up against a wall, and he told me he gave me no options. He's like, look, pal, you can't get by in life on personality alone. He goes, here's the deal. You're going to ace out this course, or I'll fail you. You'll never get a high school diploma. And if you think you're going to go to adult ed and do it, I teach it there too. It sounds funny, but I had forgotten that I could be a good student. And actually it was the first year they had the state test, and I ranked highest in the state. It was their demo test. But I went on to finish my bachelor's. I got an opportunity to do a graduate degree in Japan. I've got a master's degree. And I truly believe if it wasn't for the one teacher who didn't just go, oh, you're a good boy, just sit here. I had teachers literally saying, hey, if you come in, sit down, don't care if you do anything, I'll give you a passing grade. Well, that's a heck of a deal to give a kid. I had one teacher if I brought him a donut. Well, that's a cheap date. I had one teacher that snagged me up, and it made a huge impact in my life. Pam believes that in order to have a good classroom, you have to have an orderly classroom. It has to be a safe environment. That's not the popular thought of the day. It's more like we don't want to hurt the kids' feelings, but you're doing a disservice to kids. If Mr. Snell would not have snagged me up, I have no idea where I'd be today. So that's all I wanted to say, and you are missing out on a great teacher. I know a lot of folks are saying, aren't you guys moving to Tennessee? I'm not leaving my business here. We're going to be in the state for a long time. She wanted to stay, but just didn't make sense. Thank you.
Next I have Riley Doder. I don't know if I said that right. What? Doctor. Doctor. Oh, sorry, I couldn't read it. Sorry.
Doctor's handwriting. So, I came into this school year with a horrible background. No ambition, low grades, horrible. But Miss Sparks, when I first came into her class, she wasn't my favorite teacher at first. I can say that easily. Sorry. But slowly over time, me spending time in the club, me spending time in her class, it just gave me more ambition overall. I went from doing nothing, just wasting my days, to going to competitions and applying myself to things that I'm interested in. It's just a shame. All right, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and that's it.
All right, thank you. Xander Bird.
So, I'll be short and sweet, but I gotta say that when I walked in freshman year, I didn't think of like robotics or even any honors classes. I just thought, hey, high school, I'm gonna get through it. But when Ms. Sparks came to us in my third hour biology and said to us, hey, here's this idea for underwater submarines, I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. But her enthusiasm really turned me on to the idea, and I don't think I'd be here right now. Same for you guys, wasn't for her. And seeing her go breaks my heart. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but it really breaks my heart. And seeing her leave on such a to see her leave actually is just really heartbreaking, and it's shameful. And it's not just her. There are other teachers too who feel the same way, who feel that, and I can say on their behalf that great teachers are saying this for the same exact thing. Not getting the credit that they deserve, and they're being treated lesser than some of the teachers who just let you slide by. And I think it's shameful. Ms. Sparks really does, and I don't know where you get the idea where she doesn't connect her students, because I'm living proof of that. She really is one of the teachers that I've bonded with over the years, and just seeing her leave breaks my heart. And I hope that this is the last of the teachers leaving for this reason. I hope that maybe the administration and the board can review some policies or make new ones to preserve the great teachers and great staff we have here and to benefit the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Connor Johnson.
Yes, I know robotics is taking your time, but for the event, the spark has turned to flame. Pun intended. So what I like to say is, yes, the Miss Sparks leaving does hurt all of our hearts, because with what she's done with us is she's shown us potential, what we could do, and with robotics, that's what she's charged. She's allowed me to go to California. She's allowed me to become the leader of the robotics with my skills and stuff. And with that, is one of my questions is, since she's leaving and she's been in charge of robotics, what's going to happen to the program? Because I see it as a great program that helps our kids. I know I'm getting emotional. That happens much. But like I've said, I see it as like a great program. It's brought us a lot of inspiration. It's brought great people, shown people what they can do. We've had, like Riley said, he's came from the bottom, but now he's the top of our VEX IQ. He's part of the teams that became the champions. I've done underwater ROVs. That's given me the interest of engineering. And with Ms. Sparks leaving, it puts the question, what's going to happen to the program? So that's really what I'm asking is, and if there's anything that I can do, I would love to know.
Well, at the moment, right here, we can't answer that one.
Okay.
We have somebody in place.
They have not named that person yet and had those conversations, but there's no intention on getting rid of the robotics class or robotics program at all. The class is still on the schedule for next year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Casey Kluzik.
So I didn't have the intention to speak, but when I tell you I'm in a classroom with all of these students, with some of my favorite teachers, it's hard. Like, I'm going to go with what everyone said. Hard watching her leave. But I want you guys to get some student perspectives. Like what you guys hear teachers say, what you guys hear us say, it needs to be heard. We all have voices, and we can't just let this keep going. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I could read the last name. Peggy, what's the last name?
Fox, P-O-C-K-S.
And if you could state your address.
I live in Troy, and I've been volunteering at Hazel Park for 5 years now with Pam and the Challenge Day and Empowerment Zone program. I've had the privilege and the honor of working with Hazel Park students. It's been one of the most awesome experiences of my life. That program would not exist without Pam and the Empowerment Zone. And we think about what's happened in Florida and what's happened in Texas. These programs are so essential for the kids at Hazel Park. And I just can't say enough what I have seen and the difference it has made. And if Pam didn't hold that space, and Mr. Morton and other teachers that participate in it as part of this program, I really challenge the board to come to one of our empowerment zones and hear the topics that the kids want to talk about, like world hunger and the impact of that in Hazel Park and in their lives. I mean, these kids are dealing with some really wonderful leadership skills, emotional skills. It is an incredible program. And if it wasn't for Pam, I wouldn't be here. Probably for the robotics, I don't think Brad would be here. And so, you know, it's not just these students, it's volunteers and programs that she stands for, that she's created, that she keeps going because of who she is and because I admire her as a teacher and as a friend so much. And I admire what she does with the kids because she loves them. She cares about them. And so anyway, whatever you can do to figure this out, I highly recommend that you not just listen, but do something. So, thank you.
I think that's all the public comments, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. So can I get a motion?
I move the approval of the consent agenda as listed.
Second. Roll call.
Schlock.
Yes.
Mills.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel. Yes. Mrs. Hammond.
Yes.
Miss Hinton.
Yes.
Miss Atkins.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to, there's no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. So the first item A is Hazel Park Community Coalition update. So, Jared.
Hello everyone, Jared Gagos here. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Okay, so a lot of things to discuss real fast. I'm gonna try to go through it. So the first thing we want to talk about is the Face the Facts campaign that we ran leading up to 420 about marijuana. So basically what we did every couple days, we put up a new fact or myth for the students at the Hazel Park High School discussing marijuana, just so they can challenge the notions that they currently had. It was very exciting to see students engage with this, ask questions, get brochures, and like have a discussion about, oh, what is marijuana? What is the actual marijuana? What if I'm smoking it? What does it do to my body? So that was very exciting. We look forward to doing that again. We put it on like a stanchion type thing, and that's still outside of my office, located in the media center of Hazel Park High School's library. So if anyone's interested in looking at that, they can look at it there. On April 28th, we had a prescription drug take-back day, and that was community-wide. That's a nationwide thing run by the DEA. So this was our first time participating in it, and we are happy to say that after 4 hours from 10 to 2, we collected over 30-plus pounds of prescription pills from the community. These were either expired or they didn't just use them anymore. And so we were very excited to have that happen. We talked to a lot of community members, engaged with a lot of them, talking about their children who had died of overdoses, their friends, their family members, whatever it may be. It was very emotional, very welcoming. It was an awesome experience. So with that, I want to say that there is a 24-hour drop-off box at Hazel Park Police Department in their main lobby for anyone that wants to drop off any unused or expired prescription pills. Moving on to our next topic, we had Let's Get Real. That's our series of discussion panels that we're looking to start. So we actually just had our first one last week. It wasn't as big as I thought it would be. It's on opioids. So we're looking to reschedule another one, maybe during the day for some senior citizens. It was at Oak Street Health. We were very happy to partner with them. We're trying to engage in the community, and they were very happy to have us. They provided us with food, so I'm always happy if that happens. And so our next panel discussion that we're looking to have is June 20th. It's at 6 p.m. at Hazel Park Rec Center. It's discussing human trafficking in relation to drug abuse. I know human trafficking is huge in Michigan. A lot of people don't like to talk about it because it's very stigmatized. And so with this, we're having a U of M faculty member, Professor Campbell, come and do an hour presentation. We will also have the Warren support group there, as long as Professor Galanak, I think that's how you say her name. She will be there talking from the police side of everything, so it should be a very exciting experience. I encourage everyone to attend. You'll start seeing our flyers in probably your email blast and on cable here, so look forward to that. Additionally, during prom week, we ran a AAA Prom Promise campaign. So what AAA does is they say that any student that signs a pledge and brings home a thing to their parents saying, hey, I promise not to drink or do drugs during the prom season or after prom, and if I do, I can call you so AAA can come get the car and tow it home so I don't drink and drive. It was very exciting. We had a lot of students participating in it. I was very excited to bring the board here today. We had over 50 students sign the pledge board. I think some of them just signed it to get the cool bracelet, but still, regardless, it was really awesome. I was really happy to see this happening. A lot of students were really interested in the whole thing, saying, oh, I don't drink, but I know a friend that might. I'll have them sign. They were bringing their friends up. They were engaging. They were learning, so it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to doing that again next year. Additionally, we did a tobacco education, alcohol vendor education this past week. So basically what that means is that through the state of Michigan and the Department of Health and Human Services, we visited over 20 locations within Hazel Park that sells tobacco, liquor, whatever it may be. And we just talked to them about making sure that they had signs posted, like you must be 18 years old to purchase tobacco. You must be 21 years or older to purchase alcohol. If you purchase for a minor, there's fees. If you sell cigarettes or whatever it is to minors, there's a fee. It can go against the clerk. It can go against the store, whatever it may be. And that was very exciting. We had a lot of people really encouraging, really engaged in that. We did have a few violators in the city, and I made sure to really take my time and address those issues with them. They have promised, hopefully, to never do it again, but we'll see. If not, we'll make sure that we keep everyone posted on that. We also are looking forward to participating in the 8th grade all-night party next week, or 2 weeks from now, June 1st. There we're going to do like a spin the wheel type of game where it's going to be engaging kids on tobacco use and in products that's electronic nicotine device systems, so vaping, stuff like that. We know it's huge amongst like 13 to 17-year-olds, so I want to make sure that they know what's going on with that. And again, as I always say, youth participation, anyone is interested, any students are interested, please contact me at jared.gajos@hazelparkschools.org. We are always looking to have students participate, whoever it may be. We're looking to form a youth board eventually so we can start having those youth conversations about what are the substances they're seeing in the schools, in the city, in their communities, in their families, and how can we engage with that. With that, I have little gift bags for every school board member. It has just information like addressing prescription pills, marijuana, suicide, alcohol. You also get a stress ball, which I think would be very handy. You get some of these cool bracelets and everything else like that. So I'm going to give them to you right now or afterwards, right now?
Give them to him now.
I
Awesome,
need the stress ball now.
Okay.
And besides that, that was everything. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Jared, thank you for the work that you do for our district. It's really important.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
great. Thank you. Did anybody have any other comments for Jared? Okay. All right. No. Yeah.
Are they doing
Great
it on a
information.
Thursday or a Friday night?
For
The all-night party.
It's Friday.
Friday.
It's a Friday.
The Thursday night is the senior all-night party, and the Friday is the 8th grade all-night party. So if you want to stay up all night, I'm sure it'll take volunteers both nights.
I went
Anytime you want.
overboard with the tissue paper, but
Thank you. All right. Next item is enrollment update. Dr. Krupe?
So I can't pull it up there, but we do have our current enrollment, just as we did last year, where we start moving through and watching as families enroll. We are down, like we said, we have a large senior class that enrolled out and a smaller 8th grade class coming up. So the high school is down about 80 students right now before we start doing other enrollments. And then the rest you'll see will ebb and flow throughout the next several months as we start doing registration.
And we're going to have some of those registration nights like we did.
Yeah, so we will be working on scheduling those registration nights where this year we'd like to go to some of the buildings to do them, thinking that might be more convenient to help the parents to do the ice cream socials right at the individual buildings to try to encourage the parents to come for registration.
Any other comments? All right. Item C, district employee perfect attendance. We have March and April on here.
So we continue to celebrate our teachers that are here and have perfect attendance. We know that that's not always easy, and so we just really appreciated that. And our teachers receive certificates that are printed just to say thank you, a little way. We can't do a lot, but we have a little way to say thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We know it's getting towards the end of the year, so having everyone here, having good attendance is really helpful as we get to the end here. Item D, administrative guidelines. Someone from the policy committee or if Dr. Krupe wants to comment on what we have here. We have, these are all informational items?
So yes, administrative guidelines are informational items because they are the actions of the administrators and they live up and underneath the policies. And so we have completed 1,000, 4,000, and 5,000, and we still have several more sections to continue to go through.
I'm happy to see that this is finally the section where we're actually going to have some of those guidelines around student handbook policies. Some of those things that I think were just lacking. I really hope, I know that the policy committee is committed to getting these done over the summer. So really can't wait. Hopefully next year will be a lot better with some of these guidelines.
Yes, the section 500 will guide any changes to the code of conduct. Dr. Pastel is heading up a committee that will be meeting to look at attendance as well as student code of conduct for the district.
That's great.
Does anybody else have any other comments? Can I just say for 1, 2, or 3 for 3 different sections? Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay.
What fun we had.
Yeah, this is several hundred pages of guidelines and policy, that's a lot there. So we appreciate our policy committee and Dr. Krupe for persisting through these. I know that's a lot of work, it's tedious, and we're really looking forward to a time where we have more guidelines in place and the policies and everything's out there. So we're getting
Well, I
there.
can't wait to have our friend come back.
As soon as we're done with administrative procedures, he'll come back through to help you update your policies.
Oh,
So we have a lot of those to do as well.
All right. Item E is Plant Moran pre-audit communication. Who wants to speak to this? Anyone?
Yes, what you have in your packet is a letter from the auditors. It's a requirement of the audit process that they communicate with the Board of Education about what their duties and responsibilities as auditors are, provide you a chance to know who they are, and then have an access if you have any questions or comments or anything that you'd like to direct it to the auditors, you're able to do so. Doesn't take action, it's just an FYI to make sure that we have given that information to you.
Do we know when they're going to be on site here to conduct the audit at the close of the year?
We'll be here on the 24th of June, and the audit starts August, I want to say 13th.
So they'll be here gathering their pre-audit materials in June?
Pre-audit, it will be the 25, 26, and 27th of this month, of June.
Okay, and then they'll be back in August to finish up.
August 13th for field work
Correct.
for 2 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item F, approval of technology. Contractors for Longfellow, I think we need a motion for this.
Motion to approve the technology. I need to read it. That way I get this
Number
right.
2.
Move the approval of the technology contractor for Longfellow Elementary School to Thumbs Electronics in the amount of $10,120.
Second the motion.
Roll call?
How do you want to listen?
Sorry,
Mr.
discussion.
Stoner?
My goodness, jumped too far ahead. Okay.
Good evening,
Mr.
Board.
Stoner, yes.
Before you tonight are 2 action items. Really, they bring the last few items at the Longfellow project to a close. We held off on those until we were certain of how things were going to go. The first one is the technology piece, and basically that's moving the technology items from Edison Max once it closes to Longfellow. When I say the technology items, there's 10 cameras, there's a number of wireless devices, there's a number of racks, and they have to do some reconfiguration of the data drop. So that's a thing that has to happen when the school is out. So we did not bring it before you until it was getting closer to the end of the school year. We did solicit, I think there were 7 firms that we sent a request for proposals back to. 2 responded. I think that's because it's a small project and it's a very busy time of the year. But the 2 we got were very competitive. We did walk the site with them and made sure that they understand the scope of the work. And I know I talked to the technology director person too, that he agreed that they knew what they were going to do, so we have no qualms with using them.
Anybody have any questions on this?
This is well within the budget of the.
Oh, excuse me, yes, this does bring the close of what those budget items are now, and we are still within budget at Longfellow. There is still contingency left if there's something that comes out, but I have to say, I think in the next week, we'll be wrapping that project up except for the doors. And these small things, the cleaning and some of the other things.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, roll call.
Mrs. Knowles?
Yes.
Mrs. Schleck?
Yes.
Mrs. Hammond?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes. All right, next item G was the approval of the cleaning firm for Longfellow. Can I get a motion on this?
Move the approval for the cleaning firm for Longfellow Elementary to Metro Cleaning in the amount of $9,910.
I second the motion.
All right, would you speak to this?
Similarly, at the end of the project, we wanted somebody to come in and make sure that the rooms were ready for the move. We did not think it was incumbent upon the district to give them that project in a very short period of time because it had to do with construction. So we solicited costs from a number of vendors. When I say cleaning, what I'm talking about is not gross cleaning, but coming in and steam cleaning the carpets, washing the walls, waxing the floors, because the 9th of July, the movers come, and it has to be ready to go. Really, the contractors aren't going to be finished with what we just talked about until the end of school, somewhere around that time. So we have a short window, and that's why we ask cleaning firms to prepare pricing. And I should say, this is all within the budget. It was budgeted for. It's not being paid for by the Hazel Park. It's part of that agreement with the ISD. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be a few things left for your own staff when they move in, but we've already talked over that with Craig.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, roll call.
Mrs. Knowles?
Yes.
Mrs. Hammond?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? Yes. Mrs. Schlock?
Yes.
Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
John?
Oh,
You
one
got
more.
the asbestos removal.
Oh, you did put it. I didn't see it on the agenda.
Item H, approval of the asbestos bid. Can I get a motion on that?
I move for the approval of the asbestos bid for Edison Max to Arch Environmental in the amount of $59,645.
A second.
All right.
One of the things that has to happen at Edison Max before the renovations start is we have to remove asbestos from a number of areas. There's floor tile that is asbestos containing, there's pipe insulation, there's some glue that were used to put the ceilings up. So we went out to bid and asked a number of vendors to come and look at the building. We had a mandatory walkthrough. I think 7 or 8 vendors showed up for that. We made sure of their bonds and insurance. We developed specifications on a pretty straightforward way, and I think there were 4 bids that came in. They sat down with the lowest bidder. Our consultant and myself did sat down with the lowest bidder just to make sure that they had everything in the bid. And our recommendation tonight is to take that low bidder so they can get started somewhere after July 9th. That's our goal. As I said, the movers are going to move everything out of that building the 9th of July till about the 12th. So our hope is we get them not on staff, but on contract so they can start around the 15th to the 20th of July.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, roll call.
Mrs. Slack?
Yes.
Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
Ms. Knowles?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? And Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is personnel recommendations. So we divide up our personnel recommendations because of the various conflicts on the board. So
First one is the motion for layoff, and I did not write it.
okay. All right, the first motion is for teacher layoffs. I need a motion.
Moves this board to approve the administration's recommendations for the layoff employment of teachers as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. Is this union teachers?
These, 4 of them are union teachers, 1 is non-union teacher, and so they'll be brought back based upon different parameters and positions available.
And these teachers are these the adult ed teachers or?
Are they, no, these are teachers throughout the district. We do not have positions for them at this time.
And the reason they're being let go is for?
Well, there's a policy that, there's no position for them, and there's a policy that directs who gets let off and what, and when.
So this is based on enrollment for next year.
Right, so the positions are, we don't have any positions for these people, we're full, and as individuals may leave, then different ones will be brought in based upon the parameters, and so, the initial layoff is based on your evaluation.
How many? I'm sorry, how many?
We have 5, we have 1 for the Advantage, and we have 4 for the district. So we've already seen, like last week, we already saw 1 person come off this list. So as people come off, they will come off as well.
But according to the union's contract, we're supposed to give them 60-day notice, not a 30-day notice.
Well, that's not a negotiated agreement. That's not the law anymore. That is an old law and not part of the agreement.
It's still under the master plan.
No, it is not. And I'd be happy to talk with Mr. Garrick with you about it, but that's no longer, the 60 days is no longer effect because you can't negotiate that. Maybe Jimmy, you can speak to that.
So are you saying they would not be called back? If numbers went up, they would be called back?
Yep.
Or
Each
they
of
have
these.
Or based on the teachers leaving.
All of these will have a position if individuals leave, so they'd be called back.
So these are not ineffective teachers, these are just positions being eliminated.
You know what, I don't think it's an appropriate time to talk about that piece, but these are the positions on the layoff list per our policy.
Yeah, I need to see that form. Because I looked at the master plan and there's no change in it.
Well,
so when did you void it out the master plan?
You mean the part of the negotiated agreement? That was part of our conversations, but you also cannot talk about teacher layoff as part of that. That's a different rule now with the state, and it was all agreed upon.
I need to see that. I disagree with it. Based on the fact that we should have had that before. Because, I mean, based on it, I'm looking at the master plan. I'm not looking at, no one showed us the state law.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Because we have a policy, Chuck, that we follow.
I think what he's saying is the master plan, you have to give them so many day notice for
what is it, a staff under contract or a union contract, it's so many days before you can lay them off. Is that what you're saying?
It
Yeah.
says that in the teacher's contract.
It's in the,
Mr. Patterson, do you have any guidance on this?
I don't. I would defer to Mr. Gierek on his position with regard to this.
And it was part of the agreement and discussion with the union regarding the fact that we would be following, and you also developed a policy and administrative procedure on this, and it was discussed at the policy committee.
that was for administrators.
No,
I don't
it was for,
remember seeing it for
All
teachers.
unions?
that was for teachers.
That was for all unions.
So with the teacher shortage, and we have a number of teachers retiring, there's absolutely no where to place them now.
No,
currently.
these are,
But
per our
you're saying
reduction, per our
as soon as
reduction,
more retires.
per our
then we can call
reduction,
back.
this is where we're at. If one leaves, then there is a certain order that has been shared with the union that they would be called back. So for example, last week, one of our high school teachers resigned and is going to teach math in Arizona. And so then someone came off the list and back onto that. And that's exactly how it happened. Just like you used to pink slip, reduction in force, this is a reduction in force. This is not a layoff. And there's a difference in the conversation you're having is a reduction in force. And we actually could do a reduction in force all the way up and letting people go with notice. So these people are not losing their jobs unless there doesn't open up a spot. They would be called back as teachers leave. There's a difference.
And you have had conversations with each of these 5?
Each of these teachers were met with personally. They were met with during their evaluation time with myself and with their principal. And then they all had an opportunity and they met with me personally last week to talk about this process and what would happen and that where they were on the layoff list and when they would come back.
Okay.
Okay, and you can't tell us their rating on evaluation,
Oh, no.
right?
But I don't understand if we as a board, there should be a little more transparency to us to know what school the staff's coming from, how many's on this list. You said there's 5, but I'm looking further down. We have another motion further down the page.
It's just the first attachment. The first attachment.
No,
the
this
layoff list.
there are 5 people and we've been preparing
Just
this.
look down here, it says, are we eliminating the one down here?
I'm sorry, where are you looking, Mrs.
Well, right here, L.
Well, what's,
L's got another layoff.
Approval
or,
for layoff certain employees.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
just in a different spot. That just, it wasn't taken off. That's my fault.
So this
because
is the same one, and
This is
then
the
that's my
resolution.
question again, because I think we as a board should have, I know that it's not our job and we're swimming out of our lane, but as a board, we should have the discussion of what schools they're coming out of. If the teachers are being evaluated, then if there's a handful, let's say in one school versus another, then that principal's evaluation should be based on these ineffective or low-performing teachers. And I just think that it just opens up so much more that
So Sue, the evaluation of your administrators, so these are based, we are not letting them go based on their evaluation. We're letting them go based on not having positions.
But we don't have people, we can't keep people. Why would we let people go if we can't keep them? It just doesn't make any sense.
Because then you would have close to $400,000 sitting on your books here of individuals.
I would rather have it now sitting on the books, and then let's say school starts and we have to eliminate then instead of hiring new people off the street with these teachers going somewhere else, finding a new job, and then maybe not getting them back.
So they will be called back one at a time based upon positions available. The other part centered around this is that, so there's 2 different ways, like last month you let individuals go that weren't being asked back for performance.
Oh, I voted no, I'm sorry.
This month, it's okay. This month, these are people based upon their evaluations, and it's based upon your policy and administrative procedure that you have done here. We don't have positions for these individuals at this time, and if you left them on the books and someone didn't leave, then you would have these individuals that you'd have to pay their full entire salary for.
All right, so any other final questions? I think we need to move forward with a vote on this. So, roll call.
I mean, it lost, I forget who made the motion. I believe it was Ms. Knowles.
I did.
I think in second here was Ms. Slack.
It was Rosie.
Oh, my apologies. Ms. Hammonds. All right, so, Ms. Knowles,
Yes.
Ms. Hammonds,
Yes.
Ms. Schlock,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
No.
Mr. Hempel, no. Mrs. Hinton,
No.
Ms. Atkins.
Yes. All right, now we will move on to the personnel recommendations. If I can get the right thing. So the first group is ASME. Can I get a motion?
Move that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation, the personnel recommendations for the AFSCME union.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Knowles,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel, yes. Ms. Schlock,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hammond,
Yes.
Mrs. Hinton,
Yes.
and Mrs. Atkins. Sorry.
Abstain due to familial conflict. Next union group is HPEA. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendations for the HPEA union as presented.
I second it.
Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Mrs. Knowles,
Yes.
Mr. Hempel, yes. Ms. Schlock,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hammonds,
Yes.
Ms. Hinton,
Yes.
and Mrs. Atkins.
Yes. Next union is HPPA, our parapros. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the HPPA group.
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Schleck,
Yes.
Mrs. Hammonds,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Abstain.
Abstain. I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. Abstain due to familial conflict.
Mr. Hempel, abstain. Ms. Hinton,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins.
Abstain due to familial conflict.
That's okay, Mr. Hempel. Abstain due to familial conflict.
Oh,
You forgot me.
Oh, and Mrs. Knowles. My apologies.
All right, next is unaffiliated employees. Can I get a motion, please?
I make a motion.
I
That's,
second it.
Oh, Rosie seconded.
mhm.
All right, any comments? Any discussion, sorry?
Nope.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Hempel, yes. Mrs. Hammonds,
Yes.
Ms. Schleck,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Yes.
Ms. Knowles,
Yes.
Ms. Hinton,
Yes.
Ms. Atkins.
Abstain due to familial conflict. All right, so that completes personnel recommendations.
Did you go with no secretary?
I don't think there was any change
I
this
didn't
month.
see any
I didn't see it on there.
IUs.
Okay, item J, approval of bus paraprofessional. I think we do have a motion on our sheet for that.
I moved for the approval of the bus paraprofessional with hours not to exceed 15 a week.
I second it.
Discussion?
Do we have to abstain from this as well, being it is just a
Yeah.
position?
So the same people with conflicts for parapros, yeah.
So we have a young individual that needs transportation, an assistant in the cab with them as they're traveling to a center program in another school district due to their young age, and so we're asking approval of this position.
How is that funded?
It's general fund, it's through a child's IEP.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Ms. Schleck,
Yes.
Ms. Hammonds,
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel,
Abstain due to familial conflict.
Ms. Knowles,
Abstain due to familial conflict.
Mr. Hempel, abstain. Ms. Hinton,
Yes.
and Mrs. Atkins.
Abstain due to familial conflict. Item K, junior high media center parapro hours revision. I need a motion.
I move the
You can't.
board.
I move that the approval of the increase in the media
Go ahead.
center paraprofessional hours at the junior high from 32.5 to 32.5 from 27.5.
I support that because I can't clearly say it.
You can't support it
You
here.
can't do it.
Oh, I it's a
can't.
paraphrase.
That's right.
Second.
Discussions.
So there was an error last month. We it reduced, we said one thing in another piece, and so this is just a correction. The junior high media assistant is only a reduction of an hour a day, not 2 hours a day, and so we wanted to make sure we had your permission to make that correction.
So they're a full-time employee,
They are.
32 and a half hours.
and we're increasing it to a full-time employee because the 27.5 would be considered part-time still?
They were already, no, it's not part-time, it just means they wouldn't have insurance, but this
Right.
person already had 37
They were at
hours.
37.
So it was reduced too much.
Okay, so we're not adding anybody with benefits
No,
or?
they already have benefits. I don't know if they take them, that would
Okay.
be.
That's fine.
All right, roll call.
Ms. Schlock,
Yes.
Ms. Hammond?
Yes.
Oh, no, apologies. Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Abstain due to familial conflict.
Mr. Hempel, abstain. Ms. Knowles?
Abstain.
And Ms. Atkins?
Abstain due to familial conflict. All right, we're skipping item L, right?
we
That was
did.
already
We already
done.
did.
Okay. Item M, Hazel Park Dance Team's overnight trips for next year's 2018-19 season. I need a motion.
Objection.
Move the board approve the Hazel Park Dance Team's overnight trips for 2018-19 season.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on these? For their competitions? Most of them are annual.
Just per the board
Yep.
procedure that you need to approve those.
Okay. Roll call.
Mrs. Knowles?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? Yes. Ms. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Hempel?
Yes.
Ms. Schlock?
Yes.
Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
And Ms. Atkins?
Yes. Item N, easement approval.
Do we need
We need a
mo-
motion.
Yes.
I move that the board approve the superintendent to sign the easement agreement between the city of Ferndale and Hazel Park School District after the attorney, Mr. Patterson, has agreed upon the final wording.
Second the motion with discussion.
All right, discussion on this.
So, Mr. Patterson, please jump in as we do this. The city of Ferndale is doing some water main work, and in order to do that, they are requesting some easement to the property in 3 different spots. At this time, Mr. Patterson and I met, and Mr. Richardson with them, and there's some concern in changing on some of the wording for the resolution, but the work is to be started on January 18th. The wording that we'd like to have pulled out, which gives them the ability for us not to put anything on that property. So we don't want to limit that if in the future you may choose to want to put bushes or something else on top of that easement, that language does not stop you from doing so.
I'm sorry, you said the work was going to start January 18th?
Oh, sorry, June 18th.
Okay.
I was just
Cold
gonna say.
for water main work.
That's why we're doing it now, so we get it. It's gonna be cool. The other piece that we're looking for is to make sure that we get an agreement back from them that if there's damage done on the property while they're doing this work, that they fix it. And so all this is under the guise of Mr. Patterson.
Okay. Any questions, concerns from the board? Mr. Patterson, you've looked over all these, and you're gonna help us with the final wording?
I am, yeah, there's an existing water main that they've never gotten an easement, and it parallels an enormous sewer that we could build over anyway. But they're now seeking retroactively, the 8-inch water main's been there forever, and they're seeking to get easements to allow them to, in this case, they want to replace that 8-inch main and just parallel what's already there. They're going to, I suspect, be coming to you also with Edison at some point in the future, because they have water mains on Edison property that they never got an easement. So this is entirely a goodwill gesture by the school district to the city of Ferndale to allow them access to this property, which is entirely parking lot, and as I said, parallels an enormous drain. So it's of very little consequence to us, assuming that they return it to the state that we want it, i.e. pave the parking lots.
Do we think this is going to be finished before Edison reopens?
Yes, that's
Okay.
absolutely, and there's a penalties clause built into the contract between Ferndale and their contractor, so that the contractor has to pay if they're running late, primarily because of the concern, so we can get the buses in and out, and people parking in that lot on the east side. Web/Jardon.
Okay. All right. Roll call?
Ms. Schleck?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? Yes. Mrs. Hammond?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Ms. Knowles?
Yes.
Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
And Ms. Atkins?
Yes. Item O,
boy.
Oakland Schools Board of Education biennial election resolution.
Objection.
So,
Do we have to read the resolution into the minute?
yes, we have to read the resolution.
Boy, good luck.
You have
I have to read the resolution.
We could
Okay.
pass it to Ms. Knowles if you would
Do we make a
like.
motion first, or do I just read that first? Read the resolution first?
Read the
Do you have any
resolution.
discussion on it? Did you want to discuss it first?
Probably.
Okay. I make the motion that the board approve the resolution of the 2017-18 Oakland Schools budget as presented.
Second it.
I don't think this was the budget yet. This is just the election.
This is just the election.
Election piece.
Election.
Okay, I'll back up.
I'll second it still.
All right, that is coming. Okay, so for discussion, there's an election coming up. There's 2 people running, and I don't think they're running, they're incumbents, they're running unopposed. The resolution will be to vote for both of them, if that's what we choose to do, and determine who our representative is, who can go to the meeting and vote on our behalf. Any questions or concerns with that?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution now.
Okay.
Resolution of the Hazel Park Board of Education. Whereas Public Act 419 of 2004 amended the election procedures for intermediate school districts that elect board members at a meeting of representatives from constituent district school boards, and whereas Public Act 419 of 2004 requires a constituent school board to designate its representative and identify the intermediate school board candidate the board supports by a resolution adopted not earlier than 21 days prior to the date of election, and whereas Public Act 419 of 2004 prescribes the method for passage of a resolution, including the requirement to consider a resolution at not less than 1 public meeting before adopting the resolution, and whereas the board considered the resolution at an open meeting conducted in a manner prescribed under their Open Meeting Act on May 21st, 2018. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board designated Chuck Hempel as its representative. Oh, do we have an alternate representative?
Yeah.
To serve on the 2018 electoral body responsible for electing members to the Oakland Schools Intermediate School Board District Board of Education. The board supports candidate Dr. Teresa Rich and Mr. Mark Katz for the 2 positions on the Oakland Schools Intermediate School District Board of Education, each for a term of 6 years ending in June 30th, 2024. The board directs its representative Chuck Hempel to vote for candidate Teresa Rich, Dr. Teresa Rich, and Mr. Mark Katz at least on the first ballot taken on June 4th, 2018 election.
That was a short one.
That's the resolution, and if there's no further discussion, we can vote on that. Roll call.
Ms. Knowles?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Ms. Schleck?
Yes.
Ms. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? Yes. Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
And Ms. Atkins?
Yes. Item P, resolution for the approval or disapproval of the Oakland Schools budget.
Oh, now we get to do that. I
Now
move
you
that the
do that.
board make,
Did anybody read that thing?
Mrs. Atkins. I move the board approve the resolution for the 2017-18 Oakland Schools budget as presented.
I'll second it. That sounds good.
Is there any discussion on the Oakland Schools budget?
No.
I have it here, printed, this book.
That's small.
That's
The
all
writing
budget.
is small.
Okay,
So-
who did read it?
I reviewed it.
Just
I
checking.
reviewed it. I did not find any issues with it, and anybody else would like to analyze it, have at it.
Mr. Melching,
free.
did you have anything else to add besides your memo?
No, I reviewed it. I'm not going to tell you I read it cover to cover either, but I reviewed it and it seems in line with what I'm accustomed to for an ISD budget.
Okay, thank you.
So budget includes total funding of 320 million, expenditures totaling 334. Funding passed through local districts is budgeted at the 150 million. Grant budgeted at 82.6.
See, you should have had her read it.
Correct? Okay, good. So I'll make those and sure those numbers still stand.
Okay, so then do I need to read, I would need to read the resolution next?
Correct.
There's a resolution?
There is.
I'm assuming I don't have to read the.
I don't think so.
Oh, this is 2 pages.
The Hazel Park School Board at today's meeting, May 21st, 2018. Whereas Section 624 of the revised school code as amended requires the intermediate school board to submit its proposed budget no later than May 1st of each year to the board of each constituent district for review. And number 2, not later than June 1st of each year, the board of each constituent district shall review the proposed intermediate school district budget, shall adopt a board resolution expressing its support for or disapproval of the proposed intermediate school board district budget, and shall submit to the intermediate school board any specific objections or proposed changes to the constituent district board has to the budget. Now therefore be it resolved that number 1, the Board of Education has received and reviewed the proposed intermediate school district budget in accordance with Section 624 of the revised school code as amended, and by the adoption of this resolution expresses its support for the proposed intermediate school district budget. Number 2, the Secretary of the Board of Education or his or her designee shall forward a copy of this resolution to the intermediate school board or its superintendent no later than June 1st. All resolutions insofar as they conflict with this resolution and the same are hereby rescinded. All right, can I get a roll call?
Ms. Knowles?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel? Yes. Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Ms. Shalak?
Yes.
Ms. Hammond?
Yes.
Ms. Hinton?
Yes.
And Ms. Hackett?
Yes. Item Q, superintendent update. So we have our strategic plan.
So in one of our workshops, we talked about the board needing a refresh on the strategic plan. And so what I agreed to do was start bringing that back to you as a review. What you find attached are the goal statements that were developed at the end of the 2015-16 school year. These goal statements were done in collaboration with staff, with community members, and with some board members that were on that as well. So you can see that the 4 goals have centered around school climate and culture, curriculum and instruction, community relations, and goals and resources. I would like to begin at the beginning of next year to start bringing these on a monthly basis to kind of give an idea about where we are, and I'm having a hard time working this machine that far away. What's underneath you are the strategic plan goals that speak about all the different steps that we agreed to do and were approved, but it has not been updated since the board asked me to stop bringing that probably over a year ago is what it was. So I think this behooves a group of individuals getting together, looking to see where we are on these objectives that sat underneath the goals, and make a determination, are these still the areas that we need to work on, or if there's some additional ones that we need to add to. So that's a really great way to gather some stakeholders together and say, here's where we are these still pertinent? What's the progress on here? And where would we like to go as a school district after that? What questions do you have about the strategic plan?
I don't know if I have a question, it's so much a comment. I know that this year we're going to go into our meetings in June with setting our new goals for ourselves, and I really want us to focus on that community relations goal statement. I think that we've been lacking in that. I think that there's some room for us to make some improvements.
Okay.
In terms of reviewing these goals and monitoring them and seeing where they're at, what format did you have in mind for that?
So normally the objectives are developed by the internal stakeholders. So the goals are done by the external, and the internal would be done by administration with teacher input in their buildings. And so that's where those are done. Then they are brought back for your review, and then we would update them on a regular basis based upon where they are. If you remember, we used to bring those to you and say, here they're completed, and we would be moving on to that next section there.
Yeah, I think that when these were created in 2015, or when they were done initially, there was a lot of work, right? Everybody was really in tune with them. There was multiple meetings. There was community meetings. There was meetings, a lot of workshops that went into developing these and confirming them. And I think that as we've settled in, I think it's a great time to revisit it. So we should definitely make sure we're still affirming them and monitoring them, having objectives. So.
Any other questions?
No, I just support that logic and thinking. I think that I don't think our community fully understands our strategic planning goals. I think that we're kind of steering away from them a little bit as well. I think in lieu of some of the comments tonight, we need to get back on the same page and move forward.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other?
I'm still lost on it, so it don't matter. I'll
Mr.
try and
Newell?
figure it out sometime.
I think you should be on the strategic planning committee.
I'm already on enough committees. That committee might get lucky. I might be there.
If you're looking for strategic planning is something that I love to do. If you're looking for volunteers, I'd be more than happy to be on there.
Okay. So the next area was an update on the blueprint installation. It is 9 o'clock, and I'm looking to see if you guys are still ready to continue on for maybe a 10 more minute presentation, or if you would like that to wait.
How long?
10
minutes. Board?
You might as well throw it out there. 10 minutes is better than an
10
hour.
minutes is
All right, go ahead. Thank you.
I'm going to do the best that I can. Back here, I am a little visually challenged in some situations here. But this is the update that was presented to our district network team put together by myself, Grant Chandler, and Bridget Skipper. And if you remember, there are a variety. You know what? Can I get someone to click for me over here so I can stand over there? I can't see.
Mrs. Demas is a professional clicker.
So the blueprint. Oh, I'm not trying to my.
Better get the microphone.
Oh, yeah. I think it's important for people to hear. So the blueprint is a state-funded project that incorporates almost 4 ISDs and the Michigan Association of Intermittent School Districts, as well as the State Board of Education. There are over 80 school districts that are part of the blueprint and growing. I know today, as I was working on assistant principal interviews, in my office, a lot of people said, you're a blueprint district, and that's why we're looking at coming at Hazel Park. So it's a lot of work that's put into place to put systems and structures into place to try to move forward academics for all students. So we can look here at the different levels. There's mechanic level, which they project would take 4 months. The lobby level 5, mezzanine level 5 or 4, tenant level 4, residential level 4, and then about 12 months to kind of keep looking at it all and keep improving what you're doing. Click. I think you just hit enter on that and it'll click for us. So let's go through here a little bit I keep to my 10 minutes. So one of the things that happened is that we were evaluated at the mechanical level of an installation, and so they gave us different ratings that we need to do. So one of them was our catalyzing invention urgency. They came back and looked at us and said, we find that to be fair. We need to revitalize the school district. And one of the things that has to done is that agency, that catalyzing event, comes from the Board of Education. The board has to step behind and say, this is what we expect out of our teachers. We expect these things to happen, and then to support that and to have all employees aligned to that vision. Our district network meets on a monthly basis, as you know, and they've rated us excellent there in that area. It's involved and it grew this year, so other buildings made sure that they had representatives on there as well. Our problem-solving driver we do on a monthly basis. This is where teachers put in data. We grab data out of SWIS, we grab data out of the SIS system, and we take a look and say, how are we doing at each of our schools and across the district? Additionally, the buildings have their own building networks, and they look at the problem-solving driver to determine what changes need to be done in the classroom and what needs to happen. The communications driver, as you know, we were good, and so our district network team said, what do we need to improve communications? Because it seems that people weren't aware of some of the things happening. And so we came up with a succinct weekly update. It'll come from the central office, and it'll be put into each of the buildings to make sure that the information that we're sharing gets out in a succinct way so that we can improve communications within the school district. This is always a tough area to improve upon. Talent management, good. We do the hiring through the talent management structure, and administrators made decisions this year about where people were placed based upon their skills and strategies inside the classroom. And so they really think about, so this is where we say who goes where, and it also is how we select our teachers for hiring. And so there's a very comprehensive hiring process. Our visions, our instructional infrastructure, I think it's important to know that there's school districts across the state using the curriculum that has been developed, that's been said over and over to people. We are regarded for the work of the curriculum that's been done. It's very rigorous for individuals to use. And then the intense student support, it says there's a strong vision about how the district will support every student, and that's something that we have been working on in this conversation. So let's click one more. So at the lobby level of instruction, this is where we do our performance management driver system, and this seems to be automated. We are working and we are automating this, and so what happens is it comes in and it grabs the information out of the system and puts it in the performance management. We were one of the first school districts to do this. And then we were also labeled good in the area of leadership network. And so that means that one of the things is that we have partnerships. Our central office partners with the administration on a weekly basis, and our administration is partnering with the teachers on a weekly basis and an ongoing basis inside their classroom. Again, our process is in place for our curriculum and instruction, and in June, those that wrote have an opportunity to take the feedback from all the teachers. The teachers have a slip that they can fill out. It's very easy to use, and that they'll sit and they'll revise the curriculum based upon the input of our teachers that they give to us. Our building networks is an area that we continue to grow and to scale about how to lead configuration. And so the building networks, again, each building has their own team that they're working with. And our privileges, principals leveraging and making use of systems. This is where the principals reach up to the central office and say, what is it that you can do to help me? What's staff development? And we had a fair rating on that at the lobby level. One more. So we are all the way in the mezzanine level now for this, and in our intense student network of support, we are working on something very creative right now. We are working on a continuum of academics and non-academic supports through our MTSS. We also are working, Stephanie's working with the ISD to develop a spreadsheet where the teachers can put in the concerns that they have for students so that we can track them to make sure that we are supporting our students year to year so that we know if they're having difficulty at home or we know if they're having difficulty in the classroom, that we make sure we can follow that, know what it is, so teachers have that personal connection that they know what's happening year to year. Our talent management evaluation, our evaluation process is firmly in place. And we're making use of the data the process provides. And we need to also remember that their evaluation is determined by the state of Michigan. There's 3 different evaluation documents that you can use. And this one was picked by the teachers because the previous one we had was difficult in not being implemented. Evaluation is tough, so this is a really tough area in the state of Michigan as they require 25% of teachers based on growth, and next year 40% of that evaluation will be based on growth and assessment.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
What are we doing and what's our process for when after a teacher maybe get a bad evaluation or they're not happy with their evaluation of supporting them inside that classroom?
So 2 different things. Number 1, the state mandates if they don't have an evaluation, that if it's minimally effective or ineffective, within 30 days, the teacher and the principal must meet and develop a plan to improve that. For this is someone that's tenured. Someone that has fewer years, they may be let go with an ineffective rating. And always, if teachers are not happy with their evaluation, they have the right to put a rebuttal and attach it into their file. The only people that see that really would be the teacher or the administrator, or if somebody FOIAs that evaluation.
So up and underneath there, are we assigning like an extra principal? Are we assigning an extra teacher to help them out and get them up to that effective rate?
Well, each person would have a different plan based upon what their needs are. If the principal needed someone from central office to coach, then we certainly could do that. But it would be what professional development, what time they do extra visits to the classroom, and that's actually mandated in the law about how we handle that.
I just get worried, I have to agree with some of the comments with, we want to keep our teachers, and even though they might be ineffective trying to get used to this new evaluation system, that we're also supporting them inside that classroom.
Yeah. This is the third year for the Charlotte Danielson system. However, again, with the state rules about how they mandate pieces, it's getting harder and harder. And that's why we have an evaluation committee working right now with stakeholders. Administration certainly could be top down and not do that, but that's not how we are handling it. We're being collaborative because it's not a topic of discussion for negotiation. So we've been working very collaboratively trying to address what's happening with the growth for teachers. Not meaning growth for teachers, but growth meaning students' progress in the classroom on their evaluation. I want to make that clear. So our instructional leadership routines, we're building these. So this is where the principals are building those systems inside their building to make sure that they are fully implementing the curriculum, make sure they're fully implementing teachers teaming with each other, working together. So this is an area that in the blueprint we are still working on. And our instructional leadership routines are coaching. So we have been coaching, administration have been coaching our principals for some time. We're working on training and building our principals to coach our teachers even more so. And so they have specific staff development around this. And then the last one down there is teacher collaborative routines. And so at this level, this is where teachers plan together and work together. And so this is in progress as well. Our teachers have been working on planning at least that we try 3 days a week for them to plan together with each other to build stronger curriculum and lesson plans together. When our curriculum was developed, it was developed with units. Teachers are responsible for doing those lesson plannings up and underneath that, and that was done the style so teachers had the ability to make choices about how they were teaching that in their room. So we can go ahead, go. We're at the tenant level is where we are working next, and that is Leadership Network, re-looking at your central office, making sure things are in the right area. That's something that we will work on this summer. The talent management, so really building that capacity even more so with our teachers is that third level, the third tier. And instructional infrastructures of the instructional improvement network. So now that we have some curriculum that's been there for 3 years, now 2 years, really looking at that data even more so and saying, how can we improve this curriculum even more so that we make sure we get the greatest progress from our students. And then our Tenth Student Support Network is where we would be delivering that support to our students based upon maybe food, maybe based upon behavior, maybe it's based on social emotional issues, and even those mental health issues that they're talking about in the state right now that need to be implemented more fully into schools. And then instructional leadership routines, this is where we would monitor more closely the work of our principals in the building and how they're coaching their teachers. And then the teacher collaborative routines, deepening understanding of student learning, this is where our teachers are doing, looking at assessments together as a team.
So on the curriculum, we rolled out a ton of new curriculum this year, K-12. Did I see correctly that now is the time that they can provide the feedback on?
Teachers are encouraged to provide feedback while they're teaching it. There's a Google form that they can do. Then for a week in June, the curriculum writers come in and they are supposed to look at all of that and make changes. We also can use what we learned in the talent management on whether it worked or not and make those changes based upon students' performance. And so curriculum work is a really difficult task. It's a fluid task. It's ever changing. And so that's why having, just like we did last year for a week, we'll do it again this year and the following year, we take the input of everyone and say, okay, what do we do to make this curriculum even better for our students?
And where to make those input has been shared with the staff.
Oh, the staff has been shared over and over again about where that form is and what they need to do that. Okay, go ahead. And so then when we get up here at the very top, we would just be monitoring and reconfiguring anything that's not working with the blueprint. Go ahead and change. Okay, so how does our work compare with the blueprint intention? Let's move quickly through this. You can see that we had the highest fidelity in January of 2017 in the mechanical and lobby, and then the mezzanine may be done in May, it may be done in June to kind of give us an assessment to see where we are. This assessment's about a month old. So we're seeing the impact of our work. We can see our student attendance data. Of course, our goals are always very high in the blueprint. We want 90% to 100%, and so our current data shows us that our attendance at Hoover is 93% United Oaks and Webb. And then, of course, we are also tracking our chronic absenteeism. This is a conversation that many of us superintendents have of concern. And so these are our numbers of different buildings. Hoover's at 155 of students who've missed at least 10% of the instructional time. United Oaks 171 and Webb 158. So clearly an area that we need to improve upon, but this is a mission, if you look at the current legislation, everybody has, because chronic absenteeism is a concern across the state of Michigan. We also see our running records at Hoover. You can see that these are the individual students that are scoring over 90% of what they're expected to do. And so you say this data doesn't look at this data, actually looks really good. So 26% of our students are achieving over 90% of where they should be at grade level. So these are really good indicators of growth. And one of the things we can talk about as we look at board goals are using some of this data to say, trend it back 3 years, where do we want this to be in the future? So we're now at that point where we can really look at this data. Same thing with United Oaks. You can see that as well with their running records. And Webb. So at our arenas of actions, this is where the building assesses themselves, and so this is an example. So every month after we meet in performance management, then the buildings implement and say, where are we? And so when we look at our arenas of action, the quality and depth of student relationships at the elementary level, when the students take the assessment, it is stronger with the relationships with the teacher at the elementary level. And we know at the junior high and high school, this is the area where we still have work to do. And so the teachers take the assessment, and so the numbers, that's not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that the numbers are higher with student-teacher relationship than it is at the junior high and high school. With the fidelity of implement of curriculum, we know that again at the elementary, because they've been doing it for 2 years, it's a little stronger and easier. We expect to see this grow at the junior high and high school after the second year as well, just like we did at the elementary. It's after you run through the curriculum the first time, the second time is much easier for teachers to work on. The fidelity of implementation on the instructional network, again, we would expect this, that at the elementary school it is stronger because we've been doing it longer, and the junior high and high school will come along over time. And that the quality of lessons plans, again, same thing, at the elementary they've been doing it longer than the junior high and high school, but this will come along after they have another year as well. And teacher collaborative routines, it is easier, right, for the elementaries to be planning at the same time than the junior high and high school, who have spent a tremendous amount of their time this year subbing. Okay, any questions?
How far have we gotten with the curriculum? Like, what grades are teaching all the same?
Well, they're all supposed to be teaching the same, K through 12, or classes that are similar. And so that's why you go into the classroom for look for fidelity. That is what those HQI meetings are for. You go in to say, here's the curriculum, here's what we're doing, and then you sit down and you coach with the teacher to say what supports and services. This is not like evaluation. This is really supposed to be a support for school districts. You know, evaluation never used to be what it is today. Evaluation used to be a support for teachers as well, and we all know that this has made it really difficult by our legislator that's chosen to make evaluation as difficult as it is on our staff.
So does the fifth graders have a curriculum this year, or is it something that was just developed?
So remember, ELA was developed last year. Math was rewritten this year. Science was developed last year. Social studies, I think fifth grade is missing social studies, but the rest of that, is all the same. Everybody should be teaching the same across all 3 buildings. Other questions?
Okay. Thank you. All right, last item is board member and administration comments, so I want to give people a chance to talk if they want to. Christy?
So big robotics thank you tonight, awesome. The elementary team actually did really well at their competition a couple of Saturdays ago. They got first place in their project game and then first place in the robot game. So you know, kudos to those 10 fifth grade kids that, you know, did this for the first time ever. I was really excited to see them. They had an amazing time. You know, Sue and Chuck's daughter, Raylan's on the team too. So they're looking forward to moving on to the junior high, and there's fourth graders already like lining up to join this team for next year. So really great things.
And I would just like to echo everyone with Pam Sparks. She is a fabulous teacher, and I think that the district is going to feel the impact of her leaving. You know, we appreciate everything she's done, and it's obvious she's done something because she's touched every one of these kids out here, and so I think that's fabulous. But we have many other good teachers. I hope they stay around. You know, and it concerns me that the teachers feel that way because we do have a problem, and I think it's something that we really need to look at. So we do hear you.
Thank you for everyone coming out. Just like to say, be safe this weekend. It's a holiday weekend. There's a lot of festivities going on around town. We have the parade on Monday, the carnival that'll be coming in on Thursday and Friday. So don't want to see any of our students out there acting a mess. Be respectful and have a good time. Thank you for everyone who spoke this evening. It is very difficult to get up in front of a crowd and say something you feel so passionately about. Please know that, you know, the 7 of us, 8 of us sitting up here, we hear you. We understand what you're saying. Ms. Sparks was a teacher of mine. You know, unfortunately during these times, people who make decisions and we don't, you know, we have to understand why, and so we're going to seek those answers. And but it doesn't change what we're here to do and why we're here to do it. It's to be here for our kids and change a district that we're still fighting some of those anecdotal phrases and comments that I would like to hear more of specific reasons or solutions as to how we can do that versus the same comments over and over. I think that could really help us as a board understand a little bit more of that. So just be safe this weekend. Summer's right around the corner, and thank you all for coming out. Rosie?
Okay, tomorrow night the band is having a fundraiser at the high school. Starts at 5 o'clock. The doors open at 5 o'clock. It's $8 per adult, and the children under 12 are free.
$4.
$4, okay.
Under 2 is free.
Under 2, okay. Anyway, they're having a fundraiser. Spaghetti dinner tomorrow night. Everyone's welcome.
The main concern is what was going on at the schools. We're all deeply saddened to see Mrs. Sparks go. Wish she could stay. She's exciting. The robotic team is exciting. Been there, done that with her all the way through. We also want to forget that the teachers that we have right now are awesome at the same time. So we need to support them all we can. It's a shame that we don't hear all the feedback like that, but wow, was that something. Also, let's not forget, we got commencements coming up. Oh, by the way, we got the Band Booster Golf outing coming up. So this is an exciting month. Every commencement is an exciting one. Hope we all enjoy, and we'll see you Monday. All right.
So I want to say the same thing, the robotics, that was awesome presentation, and for all the groups, it was really, really good. Ms. Sparks touched, I don't know, not a nerve, touched my heart, I guess. I've been hearing things, I read those surveys. We really, as a board, do not talk outside of here, so I don't know their feelings. So when she said that, and I said, thank you for saying it out loud, because we never discussed those surveys that we got, and everything seems to just quiet down and go away. And one thing, you know, I'm fortunate, the lady knows her kids. I worked with her for a long time, and these students tonight were testimonies that she knows her students. So I have an article from the Michigan Department of Education along with the MEA, the Michigan Education Association, that says the Charlotte Danielson is a little bit flawed, and they're working together to tweak this evaluation. And the one thing that I really like in here, it says the goal is to make sure that the evaluation isn't something done to you, but it's being done with you. And they're promoting conversations with your administrators before you go into writing something down about somebody who doesn't know their students, because that lady should get an A++++. So I do a lot of reading. I'm up here for the kids. I'm not up here for myself or anybody else. I'm up here for the kids. And so I read and I try to learn if it's right or wrong, but these are two educational organizations that say this Charlotte Danielson needs to be tweaked a little bit. Use some common sense when you can't evaluate a teacher and go in for 10 minutes and say, oh, they know their kids. You can't do that. You look at the whole scope of what that person's doing. So it's just very difficult, and I understand people have to leave and they leave for different reasons and so on, but we've lost some gems. We had a temporary superintendent who said we had magnificent, talented people here, and we do. And I just want people out there to know we do have talented people here that are passionate about our kids. So, have a good night.
No, I think it's really important that I have a chance. Mrs. Sparks is a fabulous teacher. That is one of the reasons that we invited her and her kids here to see wonderful things. And I've had the opportunity to be in her classroom and see the fabulous things that she's doing. So evaluation is really tough on everyone. There is no perfect system, but the administrators do work with the teachers on a regular basis and meet with them. That evaluation is one of the most difficult subjects across the country right now for teachers and for administrators. I'd like to make sure that we look back at some of the thank you notes that we did, because there's a lot of great things that happened here in Hazel Park, and I want to continue to point those out. We had a wonderful fundraiser that was done for us for our literacy program that was developed this year. They raised over $2,000, and each of the people were identified in here as well. Really, Jack Aronson really should be commended for the work that he has been doing. Also, a thank you out to Gary from Youth Assistance, who retired for his many, many years of service, and so we'll be sending that out as well. Really appreciative of all the years that he's done. A big thank you to our PTA council as well for the work that they did and helping us recognize. We just recently recognized our retiring teachers, as well as the years of service for our teachers. Teaching is a tough profession, and we really appreciate the hard work that our teachers are doing in this district.
All right. I won't repeat some of the sentiment I've heard tonight. I agree with the board and what they've shared. We're here because we want to see this district be successful. We're here for the students. Every decision we make, we do that with students in mind. And there's a lot of tough, complex problems that have to be addressed, and it's not always easy to know what the answer is. But we hear you tonight. We heard a lot of, great feedback, and it's something we do consider, and we do hear you. So I guess I wanted to confirm that. And that's it. We'll call it a night. Thank you.
Motion for adjournment.